Hello, everyone, and welcome to Yid Talks. This is the 22nd installment. 22nd installment. And tonight's talk is entitled Make Preparations. Now, the Torah tells us that this world that we live in right now, is not the only world. In fact, there is another world. In Hebrew, it's called Halom Haba, which in English translates to the world to come. It's the world to come. It's not this world. It's not Halom Hazeh, not this world that we live and experience every single day. It's the next world. Now, the presence of two worlds is the really puts a Jewish life into perspective. And also, I believe that in a typical person that lives in this world, it takes them out of the proper perspective. I think the predominant thought in the world today is that the world that we live in is the world that we live in. It's what you get. It's the end. It's the means and it's the end. In Torah Judaism, this world is the means, the next world is the end. There's a metaphor in Torah that this world is considered the vestibule, the corridor, the waiting room. The next world is compared to as the palace. This world is Erev Shabbos, preparing for Shabbos, getting ready to transition into the day of Shabbos, whereas the next world is the day of Shabbos. Now, Shabbos, elsewhere in Torah, is compared to the next world, and the Torah says that the next world, and that the Torah says that Shabbos is 1/60th of the next world, of Olam Haba. Meaning there's a taste of the next world in our Shabbos experience, which is a great conversation for another Yid Talk. I need a lot of them. I'm only on 22. I got another 80 or so to go. So that's another beautiful topic to speak about, which is the comparison of Shabbos to the next world and how it's 1/60th and what does 1/60th mean. But for this conversation today, I want to focus on the importance of preparation and how when we view this world as the world of preparation in order to get our reward or our place in the next world, it completely transforms one's perspective on how to live in this world. It also helps one see that God can be just. We can have a just God. A lot of people's issue with God is that they look at this world and they say there's a lot of suffering in this world and there's no comeuppance for people. You know, there's so many people that die a very unfair existence. They don't have a chance. They didn't get the chance that was coming to them. When we see that there's another world, there's a world to come, and that world exists as a result of the way we live in this world, well then there comes in justness once again. There comes in fairness once again. That concept, it can bring a person to behave in this world, to see that this isn't the world of our reward and punishment. It's really the next world. I had a thought that really I wanted to kind of bring this conversation today. If we think about a trip that we all wanted to go on, whether it be Hawaii or Japan, which is where I want to go, or Europe, and go backpacking in Europe, or go cross country here in America. Imagine two scenarios. The first one, a person prepares. A person makes reservations for hotels and for different places to eat, rents a car in the location that they're going, has enough money for the trip, knows which attractions they're going to go to, whether there's any tours that they want to go on, has it all planned out in a beautiful itinerary. You just check it down the list. Each day is planned. Think about the type of trip that would be. Of course, it takes the type of person. I typically like to travel more spontaneously. But even someone like me who enjoys spontaneity, there's a certain pleasure and there's a certain sense of comfort in knowing that everything is planned already in advance. Second scenario, someone doesn't do a thing. Doesn't even know their flight that they're going on. Say a person has a thought, yeah, I'm going to go, to Japan. I'm going in a month from now. I'll figure it out when I get there. Think about the difference between those two scenarios. On one side, there's calm, there's confidence in knowing what each step of the way is going to be. On the other hand, there may be anxiety, there might be angst. What flight am I going to go on? Where am I going to stay tonight? Am I going to get any food? Do I have money to even buy any food? Do I have money to get a hotel? There'd be a scramble. Now imagine this scenario when we take it for our lives, the lives that we live. That from one side, preparing our lives for the next world, for the world that that comes, versus not preparing for that and not having a sense of what's to come. It'd be two very different lives lived. You think about people at the end of their lives. Think about people that unfortunately, have diseases that are deadly, or people that get to old age. There's a different sense that these people have, people at the end of their life. This is actually why I've had such an interest in the end of life care for a long time in my life. I got really interested in Ram Dass a long time ago, and he speaks about the most important experience that a person can have is by being the rock for someone that's going through the dying process, for being there for somebody that's going through the dying process, just being that rock of support for that person. It had a big impact in my life, and it actually, in fact, brought me on my religious journey, because it partly there's many factors to it, but I believe one of them was really just thinking about the way people change when they're at the end of their life. Values change, or maybe values don't change, but they become revealed. It's as if you wiped off all the dirt and now there's value again, and you think about the things that are really important to one's life. And this is really, I still want to be sort of involved in end of life care in some facet, not necessarily sure in what facet that is precisely, but I just find it fascinating that people sort of become alive when death is staring them in the face. It's a fascinating phenomenon. And it sort of reveals one's true beliefs. They come out at those pressing times of life. It's ironic that life almost gets a sense of life when death stares it down. So looking at that phenomenon of people at the end of their life, and how things sort of change at that time, can really show, or it can shine a light on what it means to prepare. Why should we wait to the end of our lives to have one of those end-of-life crises? Let's start now. Let's ask ourselves those big questions of what's important in life. And let us start that sense of preparation, that sort of, in a sense, this sense of anxiety. Let's get that feeling like we gotta make things happen. There's another world for us to experience, and that world is created in this world now, and we should take that seriously, and we should try our best to prepare for that trip, that inevitable trip that we will all take one day. And whatever that means to you, doesn't necessarily have to be from the Torah perspective. That is what it is for me, but it doesn't have to be that way for you. Can we treat people nicer in our lives? Can we treat ourselves nicer in our lives? Can we have a sense of calm as we face life's challenges? Can we keep our priorities a priority? This is what life is about. And all too often, myself, I'm putting it at the top of the list, we forget it. We forget it, and we go back to thinking that this is the one life we have, and that there are no consequences to the way in which we do things. And it's simply not true. And it's time we wake up. Let's wake up together. Thank you, guys.